more than just the energy department. They got to throw in a lot of other things. He's not going to go for just a job.
Steve Forbes, great to see you. Thank you for coming in, Steve.
Thank you. More to come after this.
Coming up, a healthy kick, or does Walmart have something else up its sleeve? Then a triple threat installment that could boost your investments, and missing this could cost you money. Stay tuned.
Today. For more reaction on what happened, let's bring in our triple threat. We have Nicole Padalini, Sandra Smith, and Francis Newton. Well, Nicole, again, the stock didn't seem to be bothered much by this news.
For the Washington Post, it was an unbelievable day. When the news first broke, it seemed like it was horrible news. Warren Buffett's getting out of Washington Post. The stock sinks, right? The intraday chart is wild. Only to then later, right, Liz at the top of the three says she spoke to him, and he says, hey, I love the Washington Post. I don't want to step down. It's just that I have to. And I'm keeping my stake, and I'm still available to them to give advice and such. And so then you see the stock recover and finish in the green. It was an unbelievable day here.
Sandra, you know, I don't know if we can get that intraday chart up, but Nicole made a very interesting point earlier today about that. There you go. The drop off as soon as that news hit. And then, of course, 3 p.m. top of the show, I was able to report what I had learned on the phone from Mr. Buffett. But what does this truly mean? I mean, he really is not sort of slowing down in any way, shape, or form, but he said he wants to focus on that company.
He actually joked about that in the statement today. He said, hey, you know, they're still going to get my advice, just only a little bit cheaper. But, I mean, he's been with the company 37 years, Liz. He's 80 years old. He's got a few other things on his plate. So we saw him do this recently. I mean, he did this with Coca-Cola in 2006. He did this with Gillette in 2002. And remember, we didn't see him dump holdings of Gillette. In fact, he hung on to them until the company was acquired by Procter & Gamble, and he still has a stake in that company. So, you know, his track record shows that he stays with the company, and that's all investors care about here, let's face it.
Francis, do you think we're going to see more of this from him, kind of a scaling back of his duties?
Oh, I think so. I mean, at 80 years old, I mean, there's only so much you can give. I think the fact that he's keeping such a large stake in the company, he will definitely be there if they're in trouble. And I think that there is nobody out there that has become a new Warren Buffett. And so I think that the Washington Post and other areas are, you know, we can now focus on the global markets, the foreign markets, and get with the technology. And so I think the Washington Post has a lot of opportunities, and he'll kind of phase
Nicole,
out.
Before you jump in, let me just say that video that you're seeing was taken at the Fox News and Fox Business Bureau in Washington, D.C. back about half a year ago. And he had come from a Washington Post board meeting that day. That, of course, takes a huge chunk out of his day at the time. There we are in the hall at the Fox News Bureau in Washington. But what were you going to say? Because this is clearly something where he's not slowing down. He truly isn't. He just needs the time to focus on Berkshire and the 70 businesses that come with it.
It's unbelievable how big Berkshire is, and it continues to grow. He has to continue to help to look for opportunities. Everything, even the railroads, that was a big focus over the last year. But the successor to this icon, who will it be, right? We talked about maybe the NetJets head. Maybe it would be him. Of course, Charlie Munger, who you know so well. I mean, he's not going to step in. So that is also really, really the wild card for Berkshire over the next decade. I mean, if it's up to Warren Buffett, he'll work till he's 100, right? If he can, he'll be there.
Sandra, for all of the good work he does at picking stocks, and we know what a genius, there's nobody that comes close as a second to what he does.
Yeah.
The stock itself has been in the doldrums for about a year and a half now. It has been going nowhere fast.
Yeah, it's a great point. Actually, I just looked at a 5-year chart of the Washington Post. We're talking about a stock that is today.
I'm talking about Berkshire Hathaway.
Oh, Berkshire Hathaway.
Berkshire Hathaway
well, both of them have severely been called.
Fast.
He's been criticized for continuing to hold on to Washington Post.
Maybe that's why he left Washington Post and is focusing more on Berkshire now.
Absolutely. So, but you have to keep things in context. And when we look at Berkshire Hathaway stock, you have to keep in consideration that we've seen a large sell-off in a lot of companies, and look at the longer term chart of the company. It's been very successful. So he's been criticized for some of his recent holdings. There's questions about, is he staying at the party too long? He's gonna stay at the party as long as he wants to. I mean, he's already claimed his success. He's already made himself an icon that'll never go away. You know, Warren Buffett's Warren Buffett. That's not going away anytime soon.
And
people still want to know what he's doing.
A choo-choo right outright. Burlington Northern, you buy an entire railroad with huge cash flow.
Didn't help the stock.
Not yet, but he would argue long-term hold. That's what he does.
2 years, it's been a long time. But maybe he is focusing now on Berkshire, and we may see a turnaround.
It was interesting also, just something cute that I was reading. There was so much to read this afternoon on this whole story. The CEO of the Washington Post saying, of course, he has such a great relationship. He said, the only thing we'll miss is the cholesterol at the board lunches, because he even chimed in on what they should have for lunch at the board meeting.
Hot dogs and Coca-Cola.
Always wants hamburgers and cherry Coke. Francis, Nicole, and Sandra, thank you so much for our triple threat.
Hey, by the way, tonight on Scoreboard, we have Florida Attorney